In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the brake caliper on your Jeep Grand Cherokee located behind your front wheels. Using your 19mm socket, loosen and remove the lug nuts. Once you have the lug nuts removed, grab the wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Using a 17mm socket, loosen and remove the two slider pin bolts. Separate the caliper and bracket. On the caliper bracket itself, you have your slider pins. And then grab the boot, peel that back, and remove the slider pin. Do the same for the other side. At this point here, inspect the slider pin. You can notice there's an extremely minimal amount of grease on here. So go ahead and smear some of that on there. And we're going to add just a little bit more. Now we don't want to overdo the grease on here. We do want to make sure that there's enough covered from the top to the bottom of these slider pins to make sure that these work for a long period of time. Good, line that up, slide it in, and pop the boot on. Repeat for the other pin. And take your caliper bracket, and we're going to apply some grease to where these sliders are going to be positioned. It doesn't have to be an excess amount, you just want a thin coating. And you want to take your sliders here, make sure you have the correct one for the position where it's going to be placed. And make sure that this J-hook style or hook is on the outside here, and then this thin tab will be on the inside. And line that up, push that down into place. Make sure that the slider is fully seated on the inside here. You can see that is pushed in all the way. Do the same for the other side here. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and do the same for this side. Once you have all of your sliders installed, that caliper bracket is ready for installation. On the back side of our caliper here, there is the flex hose right here that feeds the caliper the brake fluid. Now there's a 15mm bolt on the back side. You want to have a catch can or a bucket underneath to catch the brake fluid that's going to come out of here. It will come out from the hose as well as the caliper. Now when we loosen this here, we're going to take the hose off, we're going to remove the copper washers here and swap it over to the new caliper. Here's one copper washer there. I'm going to remove the bolt from this side, and there's another copper washer right there. Make sure you remove these. Take the new bolt, copper washer, feed that through. Put on the second new copper washer. Make sure the surface of this is clean of any debris. Going to line this up on our new caliper and thread this in. And once you have that started, go ahead and snug down that bolt. I'm just going to set this on top for now. I want to go ahead and hang our caliper off to the side here. Use your 17mm socket to loosen and remove the 2 slider pin bolts on the caliper to the bracket. Slide the caliper off. Remove the brake pads from the caliper bracket. Set those aside. Remove your caliper bracket. There are 2 18mm bolts, one here, one up top. Now hold the caliper bracket when you remove this upper bolt, or the bracket can fall off and cause some damage. Now when we remove our caliper bracket, the rotor itself will be free floating as well. Be careful that doesn't fall. With the caliper bracket off, we're going to install a lug nut. What this is going to do is hold the brake rotor in place and make it easier for you to install the caliper bracket. Go ahead and snug those bolts down. Go ahead and torque these caliper bracket bolts to 70 foot-pounds. Install the brake pads. Go ahead and bring the caliper over. Now when setting this up, you want to make sure that your slider pins, they have 2 flat sides. Make sure that one of the flat sides fits up against this flat notch right here, and it's going to be the same on the bottom. Snug them down. Torque down these slider pin bolts to 25 foot-pounds. We want to go ahead and torque down our banjo bolt here to 23 foot-pounds. Once that's torqued, go ahead and wipe it down. Remove the lug nut. Right here is the bleeder screw. I want to go ahead and remove this rubber cap. Using a 10mm wrench, we're going to open this up. What this is going to allow to happen is brake fluid is going to come through the brake line, fill up the piston area, and the fluid is going to come out here. This is considered a gravity bleed. Once this fills up, we're going to tighten it down. Now we're going to see the fluid is now coming out. Good, and tighten up the bleeder screw. And once it bottoms out, give it a little bit more, snug it in place. Grab a rag, wipe it down. Now at this point here, before you even put your wheel on, go ahead and hop into the vehicle, pump up the brake. The pedal is going to be soft at first, and after the third or fourth full depression to the floor, you should have a firm brake pedal. If the pedal still feels spongy, at that point there, you want to go ahead and proceed to a brake bleeding process on the entire vehicle. But if the pedal feels good, come on back out here, install the rubber cap, put your wheel on, take it for road test. If everything feels good there, you're all set. I'm going to locate the master cylinder reservoir here underneath the hood on the driver's side of the firewall. I'm going to open up our cap. You can see that the rubber portion has pushed out. You just want to work that in so it's recessed in like so. You want to pay attention to the max level right here. There's a little arrow pointing up and it says max. You can see the fluid through here, and ours is just a tad bit low because we did just push some fluid out through the caliper. Grab the proper recommended brake fluid. Add that just till it comes to the top of the max line. Install the cap. Take your wheel, bring it up, set it into place. We're going to start all of our lug nuts by hand first. Once we have all the lug nuts on, let's go ahead and snug them down. Torque the lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.